amazing, world-renowned vocal expert, Evie Burnett, and she has been so incredible for me during my whole career. I've got a little bit of feedback. Maybe, Evie, can you mute for 1 second?
Yeah, I'll mute. Yeah. Maybe it's me.
Let's see. Hello. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, Evie has worked with me throughout my career, and she's just been such an amazing wealth of knowledge for me. She's also got a book which is really great called Yes, You Can Sing, and she has just taught everyone, like big names, every kind of genre, which is what I really love about Evie. Like, she's just from whatever, R&B, pop, soul, classical, every kind of genre. So she's a wealth of knowledge. So we're really, really lucky to have her with us. So you can come off mute now, Evie. Thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions before we got into you kind of giving us examples of exercises and warm-ups. So we've got a lot of different kind of singers here, from R&B, we've got spoken word, MCs, just lots of different musical talent. And I just wanted to know what you think the most important thing about vocal health is.
Hi everybody. After that introduction, I'll have to be quite good. She's bigging me up. Bigging me up. She's been with me for so long now. So I think with vocal health, it's you would say vocal health, is that not just about not getting a sore throat? But it's so much more than that, because if you get a sore throat, we're talking about curing our sore throat, but vocal health is sort of preventative health for your voice. So the main thing a singer needs to do, especially at your age, of a lot of you guys when you're starting out, is to learn how to look after your voice from an early age. Because quite often singers have problems later on with losing their voice and everything, because they didn't sort of start out well, and they've got a lot of strain that's kind of inbuilt, and once you start singing like that, it's very hard to unlearn all these bad habits. So I would say a quick explanation of vocal health is really to know the things not to do to make your voice have problems. So for example, if you're a singer or a rapper or any kind of performer who uses their voice, you have to know that there's certain things that you can't do that other people, your other mates, can do, and they're fine. For example, if you're at a football match and you're shouting and you come home and you've got a sore throat. My husband goes to Arsenal. I don't know if that's good or bad for you guys, but anyway, he comes home and he's got a really hoarse throat, and I can hear that he's been shouting. Now, it doesn't really matter, because after a few days his voice is fine. If you're a singer, you cannot afford to have 2 or 3 days of being hoarse. So you just have to never shout. Now, if you're a parent, you know, you're going to have to shout at some point, but you've got to really try not to use your voice badly. Things like smoking, either smoking cigarettes or smoking weed, either, it's not good for the voice, because it dehydrates it, and that heat there at the vocal folds when you're smoking is just not good. Now, you know, you can say, oh, for goodness sake, there's a load of singers have a little bit and they sound maybe raspy, whatever, and if that's your style and you get away with it, then that's fine. But generally, as a singer, you don't want to have that rasp all the time, and that's what you'll end up getting, and your range will be kind of depleted. So the time to sort of stop that and not start it is kind of now. Things like foods that irritate, you know, if you have a lot of spicy food, that's absolutely fine if you're not about to sing. But if you're about to do a performance and you have something really spicy, it makes you kind of go clearing your throat. And that phlegm that's caused by that and that clearing can damage your voice and make it sore. So spicy foods, a lot of dairy, things that are acidic like tomatoes, orange juice, anything like that you want to avoid if you're about to perform. And all these things you just get to know, and you get to know what affects your voice. So anything that either makes you hoarse, makes you clear your throat, makes you hot or cold so that you might get ill. You've got to really be careful, and you just have to look after it in the same way as a young footballer would look after his feet or whatever. So I think that's vocal health is really, a lot more about preventing any problems early on.
And there's this thing about honey and hot drinks and things like that. Is that something that you recommend?
Yes, anything that makes you feel better, anything that kind of pampers your voice, rehydrates it. You have to sort of start drinking the minute you get up. It takes about 5 hours to rehydrate your vocal folds. So if you start drinking first thing in the morning, by the time you're doing your gig at night, you'll be ready. But if at 6 o'clock you suddenly think, oh no, I haven't drunk anything today, then it's too late to rehydrate your vocal folds. So things like lemon, hot drinks, honey, anything like that, anything that hydrates, it's always great. And it makes you feel better.
So best to drink water throughout the day instead of chugging it down before a show or before you have to perform. Or
that'll just make you want a wee. And if you want a wee, you can't sing because you're like, oh, I really want a wee. So if you can spread it out throughout the day, it's going to be much better for your vocal folds. You still want to drink beforehand because nerves make you thirsty, but spread it out.
I've definitely had moments where I've been on stage and I've just drank way too much water before I've gone. I've been in the middle of a gig, oh no.
Yeah.
I just have to ride it out.
I've been with singers on stage, backstage, where we've had to pee into cups.
Yeah. That hasn't happened yet, but
not me personally, but mainly guys.
Yeah, that's easier for them. So I wanted to ask you, obviously I've been having vocal training since I was really little, since I was a kid. And what advice would you offer to people just starting out on their vocal training and getting into looking after their voice or wanting to extend their range, things like that?
So the earlier you can start, the better. And the problem is when you're young and everything's easy, and if you've got a natural voice and you just sing and you've got no problems, you kind of think, oh, I don't really need to train. My voice is fine. I'm okay. But as you go through your career and as you do bigger and bigger gigs, things get harder. You've suddenly got to do songs that you maybe weren't intending doing. The songs seem harder. You're tired. You've been flying. You're dehydrated. There's lots of problems crop up. So if you've got your technique under your belt early on, then you know what you're doing. And the whole plan is you're building up your muscles in the right way. So that you don't hit problems later on. So many times I get phone calls from managements, record companies panicking because a singer has lost their voice and they're in the middle of an arena tour, a stadium tour. I've got to fly to wherever to try and save the day. Nowadays, obviously, they're not doing it, but it would be on Zoom. You could do that now, and I think we've probably learned from that. But there's times, and that would have been prevented if the singer had vocal training early on. And a lot of big stars don't, because they stumble into the career, they start as songwriters, whatever, and they don't have training. And then by the time they're famous and doing big gigs, they kind of don't bother. So I'd say that you're all in a really great position to start now getting these muscles trained so that somebody phones you up and goes, come on, we want to sign you, you're ready. And you're off to do your gigs.
Yeah, being prepared. So with that said, how often would you say people should warm up, singers or rappers, spoken word? How often should we warm up?
So I think that the best thing you can do as a singer or a rapper or any performer of the voice is to think of yourself as an athlete. I think of every singer I work with as an athlete, and you think, what would an athlete do? So if you think of a young lad who's learning to be a professional footballer, if he's going to get signed up by a team, he's doing his keepy-uppies, he's out there every single day practicing so that he is better, miles better than all his mates. Now, as a singer, people tend to think, oh, I just open my mouth and I'll sing. for some reason, we don't have that kind of work ethic in the same way to train our voice. So if you do it every single day, you build up the muscles. If you have a week off, the muscles get tired and the stamina goes. If you have 2 weeks off, even more so. So I would say the odd day off is fine, but as a singer, you really should be singing for 15 minutes, absolute minimum, every single day of your life, and doing a warm-up. Because if you don't, gradually your voice will get worse rather than better.
And so how long do you think warming up versus just singing our songs?
Well, I think that nobody likes the hard work of being on their own doing boring scales. Nobody can say they like that. That's why we go to the gym, because we don't want to sit on our own doing press-ups. We want to go and be with other people and be encouraged or do classes or whatever. So it can seem a bit boring, but if we sort of do 15 minutes to half an hour of just exercises to warm the voice up, to rev up the engine, then we can do whatever we like singing songs after that, because you're in good voice. Whereas if you come straight in with the songs, you'll tire because you haven't started the engine properly. You've just come straight in at 5th gear. So I think that if you can make yourself get into the habit that, you know, what's 15 minutes in a day? You can sit on Instagram for 15 minutes and before you know, it's like half an hour and you've just looked at a load of pages you're not even interested in. So I think that I can waste 15 minutes very easily. So if you just sort of almost set a timer for yourself and say that every day of my life from now on, I'm blooming well singing for 15 minutes, boring exercises, and you'll be so proud of yourself and the difference it can make in a couple of weeks.
I think you can apply that to so much as well, because I can easily waste 2 hours just on Netflix, like in a second. So
Yeah.
like I can definitely dedicate like time to different things that I want to do. But personally, I try and warm up every single day, even if I'm just driving my car.
Yeah.
I'll like just warm up in the car. That's probably the best thing actually, because it makes the journey go quicker and I feel like I'm doing something for my voice. But what would you say the difference is, if there is a difference, between vocal training or warm-ups for different genres, like if you're doing R&B or pop, or if you're an MC, or what is the difference? How would you train the voices differently, or do you treat it the same?
So I pretty much think, to explain this, I think there's a difference between what you call a singing teacher and a vocal coach, or a vocal trainer and a vocal coach. Now, you can have a mate who's a vocal coach who will help you with your riffs and help you with the stylizing of what you do. And that is really beneficial. Somebody in the studio that can do that with you. But if we're talking about technique, then I think the most important, oops, I've gone funny all of a sudden. I think if we're talking about technique, the most important thing is to have somebody who really understands the muscles and who can teach you how to look after them and do all that stuff. Now, for the vocal technique, it's exactly the same, whether you're a rapper or an R&B singer, pop singer, a country singer, whatever you are, technique is technique, even if you're just an actor. But riffs and style is different. So I teach everybody exactly the same way, and then I will work on style of how you sing your song or how you perform your piece with different genres differently. So for example, I work with Dave, you know, Dave, rapper Dave, who you'll all know, and who I started working with when he was, I think, 17, and I would be in his bedroom with him working on stuff. And then I'll be working with Leona. Now, obviously, Leona and Dave, different voices, but I'll do the same solid technique. No, I mean, obviously do a lot of people in between the two of those, but that's quite a contrast in style. And yet the technique will be exactly the same. But obviously when I'm then at a gig with Dave, he does a style thing and I will just talk about the flow and about how to get his body to do that. And when I'm with Leona, we might go into detail on riffs and stuff that we wouldn't be doing with Dave. So it's the same thing as far as technique's concerned. And if you've got a good technique under you and you can find a vocal technician, somebody who really understands the muscles, that's what you need most at a young age. you can probably do the stylistic things later on.
Yeah.
Sense?
Amazing. So what is the question that you get asked the most by vocalists?
Well, what should I think? I get asked constantly how people can not lose their voice. People are always saying to me, some days I sound great, and some days in my bedroom and I sound amazing, and then I go out and do a gig and I sound rubbish. Or, you know, I did a gig last week, it was great, and then I did one this week and it was rubbish and I couldn't get the notes, and how come I'm not consistent? Now, obviously, the answer to that is, again, back to technique, because if your technique is very consistent, you've got that support in your voice, and your voice is always the same or kind of the same. So you will find, Leona, that, you know, a bad day for you is not that much different from a good day for you, you know, whereas somebody who's not trained, a bad day and a good day can just be chalk and cheese. So that's
right.
the thing that people ask the most, is how to be consistently good and what it is that gives them that thing where they're always as good as the day before.
Like, so having that foundation of training and technique, and then the freedom to just kind of explore and discover when you're on stage, but always having that foundation behind you. That's what I find really helpful, you know. And can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Oh, the book. Right, hold on a minute. I'll show you my
can
book.
We see it?
So that's my book. And it's called Yes, You Can Sing. Now, the reason it's called Yes, You Can Sing is when I was doing like the X Factor and a lot of like on-screen things, people used to just come up to me literally and go, can anyone sing? Can anyone sing? And I honestly, every day somebody said to me, can anyone sing? So I was asked this question so much that I eventually wrote a book saying, yes, you can, anyone can. But obviously, if you're tone deaf, you know these people deaf. Whereas a lot of other people can train the muscles to be more in tune. And often it's to do with muscles and not your musical ear. So I would say that most people can definitely improve. You're not going to suddenly turn into Leona Lewis if one day you can sing 3 notes. There's not a lot of hope for you. But if you've got a Leona type voice, we could train it to be a lot better and a lot nearer to Leona. So I think obviously majorly it's your natural talent that is the main thing. But you can get a lot further with a good technique behind you. So that's why I wrote it. And then I just wanted to kind of, book publishers, they want you to give a bit of showbiz stuff. So I had to write a bit about a lot of my clients in order to be able to have a book published. But basically, I would say the premise of it in there is, how to warm up, what exercises to do to help your stamina, your range, all the things that singers ask about. And I've done a lot of frequently asked questions in there. So it's just what I've always wanted to kind of give a lot of people, was for the price of a book, it's a lot cheaper than a singing lesson, and hopefully you can keep referring back. So that's kind of why I wrote it, and that seems to have been what people use it for, as a little reference book,
Yeah, so, like a little reference dictionary.
That was the point.
Okay, yay. So yeah, I have the book. Thank you. It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. All right, so thank you for answering those questions. We're going to get on to the kind of practical part now, where Evie's going to show us some warm-ups, maybe some warm-downs. And you actually mentioned a bit about stamina and range. I don't know if you can incorporate some of that in there if you want. But yeah, it'd be great to just get some basics that we can do every day.
Okay, so would it be helpful then if we do we do a few exercises, and I kind of tell you why you're doing a certain exercise, so that you can see if that's one that will help your stamina, or things like that. Now, can I get a sort of rough idea of who we've got? I mean, how many of you would say you were singers, and how many of you would, well, like, first of all, singers, actual singers rather than rappers?
So yeah, raise your hand if you call yourself a singer, vocalist.
Yeah, we've got quite a
How
few
do you
singers.
rate it? Oh,
Just yeah, Chantal. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And then how many of you are just like spoken word rappers? Yeah.
Reese is like,
You could do both. That's fine. I have rappers who do both. You know, I've got quite a lot of, you know, people who do everything. And are some of you just musicians? I'm saying just musicians, producers, or people who work with singers? Yeah. So we'll do a bit of everything, and obviously we're not going to suddenly sing Leona type notes. You can if you like, but we're just going to do a very basic warm up. So for those of you who are way advanced to that, then I'm sorry, we're going back to basics. But I think that even for my most advanced singers like Leona, we'll come back to basics every now and then, and we'll do very, very simple exercises to kind of remind us, because we all forget and we all get in bad habits, no matter how big our career is, you know. So it's kind of something that's really important for all of you to always come back to these basic exercises. And I'd say it's much more important to spend 5 or 10 concentrated minutes doing really intense proper exercises than an hour of doing absolute rubbish that just tires you out. Because I hear a lot of people doing hours of stuff that is knackering, and then they can't sing afterwards. So
yeah.
So anyway, right. So we'll do our best. We're all in different rooms, and
I'm gonna like do it. I'm gonna put myself on mute, but I'm gonna sing along with you. So anyone who wants to sing along,
yeah.
feel free.
If you're on mute, then obviously I want you to sing along. So if you mute yourselves, then we won't sound like a cat's chorus all singing together.
Yeah, just make sure you all mute.
Yeah. And, we'll play it by ear. If it doesn't work out, we'll change things. All right. Now let me just put you over here to the piano. No, that might be better. So I can give you a note to begin with, and we can. Now, so first of all, I'd say for singers, you know, I said I'd explain why we're doing everything we're doing. When you're doing your warm-ups or your vocal exercises, this is the time when you want to have perfect posture. I don't care if in your gig you're slouched doing this or you're kind of standing like that. I don't care what you do in your gig, but in your practice, I want you to stand perfectly, like you're kind of like, I'm an opera singer, but I want you to stand like you're an opera singer or a theatre performer, because that way your muscles will be all in the right places and you'll be able to warm up your voice efficiently. So first of all, if you can stand up, everybody, if possible, and I want you to all bend right down, touch your toes, and then very, very slowly, we're going to come up, thinking of each vertebrae going into the position so that you're taller than you were a minute ago. So you're going to be the tallest, most confident, proud stance that you've done, okay? And it doesn't matter if I can't see your heads or I can't see your bodies, I'll just trust you, okay? And please put your hand up, anybody, if there's anybody's having problems hearing or it doesn't make sense, okay? So now we've got this stance. I want you to think shoulders down, boobs out, chest out, expanded, proud. And imagine you've got like a can of Coke between your shoulder blades. So there's a real, hey, look at me kind of thing. You know, I'm sort of proud and I'm standing here ready to go. That stance will help your diaphragm and everything start working. Now, first thing I want you to do is just think of your, first of all, let's just stretch our neck slightly to the right or the left, whichever way around I'm looking. And the same thing to the other side. So everything's in a good position already. Now, I want you all just to breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth, okay? Let's do 2 of those. And one more. It's very odd because I can't hear you. Now we're going to breathe in through our nose, and we're going to do a little resisting our breath sound with a Now this is just to get you used to focusing your breath, okay? So we'll breathe in through our nose, and we're just going to go one more. In through our nose. Lovely. Now, you'll hear people talking about diaphragmatic breathing. Now, diaphragmatic breathing is not something I can just teach you this second, but I can help you to try and think what it feels like and to feel how low you need to breathe to do it. So if you imagine when you're finished this session, you're going to just lie down on the floor or lie down in your bed with your knees up and put your hand on your tummy and just feel your tummy going up and down, breathing deeply. And that feeling, where you feel that is how low you want to be breathing to get diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing, your diaphragm is sort of here, and when we do diaphragmatic breathing, we're just pushing that down to get lots of space for you to breathe. So it's just better breathing than breathing like we all do in real life, which is this kind of breath, okay? So, but for us to just start to feel that feeling, I want you to just think that you've had a great big Sunday lunch and you're absolutely stuffed. You can't bear your button of your jeans. You've got to undo your button, your top button of your jeans, and then go blah with your tummy. So let's undo our top button of our jeans, not really, just to pretend, and go with your tummy. So I want you just to think fat with your tummy. Your tummy kind of goes, I'm just going to turn this down so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to go. Now, when your tummy kicks like that, that is you starting up your diaphragm. That's you involving your diaphragm in the process. So that's a good thing for you to start being able to do, because the best thing I can teach you about breathing properly is to be able to let go. Lots of people, dancers and people who just want to look great, they are very good in the gym at pulling everything in, pulling in your abs, but not many of us are very good at letting go, and singers need to let go. So now with this new thing you can do, which is let go your tummy, we're just going to do a little bit of revving up the engine. So you're going to go, and as you make that noise, you're just pulling in, pulling in, pulling in, pulling in. So you go, let it go, pull it in, let it go, pull it in. So we let it go, then let it go, let it go. So here's what it ends up being. Okay, so that's a good way to start up your engine and start up deep breathing and deep sing, deep way of using your body to sing. Now,
so for those, how many of those should we do?
To begin with, just do 2 or 3, and then you can maybe do more. And you can do it, I often think, if you do it like a mobile phone and vibrate, so you're kind of going fat, then so if you do 4 to 6 of those, that'll be enough initially, because your tummy muscles won't be used to it, and you'll just tense, and then kind of build that up to maybe do 10. You know, you can do more than 10, 15, but that would be enough. But if every day you just wake that muscle up by doing that, it's a really good thing to do. So after we've done that, we're going to wake up our actual sound. So I want you to go, now you're sort of, it's annoying. So we're not just humming like we're going like you've just found out some big secret. So it's an with excitement. Okay, see if you can all make that sound. Mm. Mm. And you can do the action with it if it makes you feel that you're doing the sound. Mm. Then with that sound, we're going to do a little bit of a mm. Then mm. Mm. So we're doing a siren, but to And every time you do it, keep thinking back to this. So you put a lot more energy in your face and inside to this. It's not just a okay? So if we go with our little siren. Mm. Mm. Now I'm going to time to let you do that without me. I'll do the signs. Lovely. Okay. So
And
now,
when we're doing that, should we be going like as high as we can go, or
well, you can gradually. It's a good question, Leona, because to begin with, you're doing it just quite easily. So it's kind of and then you can build it up so that it's quite you can go down as well. So it's just about playing about with your own sound, and you can put as much into this exercise as you want to. You can make it quite an elaborate, difficult exercise, or you can just use it to awaken your voice, which is kind of, because we're talking about first thing in the morning wake ups, it doesn't even need to be that high at this stage. But if you want to use it before you go on stage for that kind of warm up, then yes, you can make it more experimental and go higher.
Okay.
So then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it to an ah. So remember we said that was kind of a knowing The ah is similar. So the reason we do all these funny thoughts behind it and actions is because when we act or when we do something with excitement or enthusiasm, we open the back of our throat and do things that we maybe wouldn't do otherwise. So I want you to be thinking of smiling at the back of your throat. So there's a kind of wow. So I want you all just think, wow, inside. I'm so excited. Just something, you've just got an amazing phone call, something incredible is going to happen, and you go, now do it on the outside so your faces look ridiculous just now. I don't care if you're all going like I am, but eventually you would be doing it inside. So in your gig, we wouldn't know you were doing that. So if say you're about to, you're a rapper and you're about to do a really cool gig, you don't want to stand up on stage and go, before you start. But if you've done it in your exercises and you know how to do it without the silly face, you're just opening up the back of your throat, right? So let's open up the back of our throats and we're going, ah. So it's a bit like the knowing, this is a knowing ah. Ah. So off you go, you try it. I'd love to say that's lovely, but I can't hear you. Now we're going to do the same little siren, but to our ah. And I want you to keep on thinking that you're widening the back of your throat, and you're smiling inside and using excitement. So it's the most excited ah you've ever done. So it's going to be ah, ah, ah. One more. Ah! So see if you can feel getting tones and getting something into your voice you wouldn't be getting if you weren't opening your throat like that. Right, off you go. I'll do the sign, you do the ah. Lovely. Now, one more of these basic warm-ups is that when we're warming up, the whole point of warming up is so that the muscles are really expecting us to do everything, and they're not getting a shock when we suddenly sing high or loud or in a part of our voice that they weren't expecting. So we've kind of warmed through and got all the muscles used to it. So the face is a really important thing to warm up as well. So we're going to go and that relaxes everything around the lips, because when we're performing, we're often tense, we're often scared, and the first thing we do is we tense up our face, tense up our lips, tense up our jaw. So this is a relaxed jaw, and we're going to go off you go. Now, for any of you who can't do it, a lot of people find it quite hard to begin with to be able to do that. Just go blah, 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 blah. So if you do a blah, 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 blah. So very easy going. And then go,
With Evie and I, when we're training, sometimes I get like when I'm performing, just hold some tension here sometimes. I don't know if any of you guys ever get that as singers. Just in day-to-day life, we sometimes hold stuff in our jaw. So I find this really good for relaxing my jaw, the blah, 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 and just like being really loose. And I find it really helps me with my singing as well. Just wanted to add that.
No, and thanks, Leona. That's really important, because we wouldn't think of you as someone who gets tense in their jaw. We wouldn't think of you as someone who gets a tense jaw or anything, but it just shows you that everyone gets that, and it's quite a normal thing for a singer, you know. Can you hear me? Am I back on? Yeah. So yeah, so sorry, I was babbling that. No, that's really good. So if you do a lot of the blah blahs, or really that relaxing, because when we're singing, we do not need our jaw to come into it. The only time we're kind of using our jaw is if you're doing a big belty note, and you've seen Leona do this many, many times. So she will be belting, she will go, and she will put her jaw up, and she will sing her belty note like that with her chin up. And that's a perfect position for belting. But apart from that, we don't really want to have our chin up when we're singing. Not when we're going up to a note, just when you're belting. So that's the only time you'd be doing that. So the rest of the time, we want our jaw to be very relaxed. So with this thing, I want you to go, and it's like a lip trill, like a cement, a guy on the road drilling. That one, right? Okay. So now we're going to go. Can you do that? We're going 2 notes. Okay. Off you go. Lovely. And then the next bit's going to be. So you think your downward scale. So now we put the 2 together. So you're going to go. Off you go. Lovely. Okay, so now let me think what we're doing now. So now let's just do.
I had Evie. Courtney, your hand is raised. Did you have a question?
No, sorry.
Okay, I was just wondering. Okay, all good.
I think Rihanna's hand's raised as well.
Do you have a question? Oh, no.
No, that's all right. That's all good. That's all good. Thanks, Leona, just for noticing.
Yeah,
Now,
we'll come on to questions after anyway. So
yeah, we'll do. Brian, oh yeah, he's good. We'll do our questions in a little minute. So this is
Cool, no worries.
going to warm up. Is Brian saying something?
Oh, I just said no problem, no problem.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. And thanks, Rihanna. I got your text. Right. So, okay. So now we're going to warm up our sound because we've done our mms, we've done our ahs, we've woken up our diaphragm, and we've done a little to get everything loose. Now we're going to go mename, 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 mename. So this is quite ugly and quite edgy, just to warm up the vocal folds. Okay, off we go. Mename, 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 mename. So it's like mini me, but faster. Okay, off you go. Mename, 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 mename. So let's see where we are on the piano. We're here in the next one. Mename, 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 mename. One more. Mename, 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 mename. Last one. Mename, 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 mename. Now I want you to do them yourselves without having to listen to me. Off we go. Next one. Next one. Last one. Okay, so I want to finish off with a little bit of a song thing that you can kind of sing to yourself, just to get you used to actually singing. So we're going to go, bella mamma, yeah. Okay, you try that with me. Bella mamma, yeah. Now do it yourselves. And now we'll do the next bit. Bella mamma, yeah. Do it with me. Bella mamma, yeah. On your own. And the last bit. Bella mamma, bella mamma. You guys with me. Bella mamma, bella mamma. And on your own. Last bit. Bella mamma, yeah. Do it with me. Bella mamma, yeah. On your own. Now we're going to do the whole thing together. So you do it with me first, and then you can do it on your own. Bella mamma, yeah. Bella mamma, yeah. Bella mamma, bella mamma, yeah. You try. Lovely. So we can usually do that I'll do it, then you'll do it back. But of course we can't do that today because it'd be utter chaos if we all tried to do it on Zoom. So, but that's just a little tune you can sing to yourself. Now, in order to use stuff like that to warm your voice up, you want to sound very either Scottish, like me, or Italian. because Scottish accents and Italian accents are very, very bright and they bring everything forward. And you'll have heard of forward placement. And the more we can get this part of our voice warmed up, the easier it is to sing later. So if we'll just do this once more, we'll all do it together, but I want you to really think of making it very Italian. So it's going to be bella mamma, yeah. Bella mamma, yeah. Bella mamma, bella mamma, bella mamma, bella mamma, bella mamma, bella mamma, yeah. Very good. I'll let you do it once more on your own. Off you go, very Italian. Right, well done, everybody. Now, that's a very basic warm-up, but it's got a lot of all the little things you need in it in order to warm your voice up. Now, Leona talked about warming down, and I'll give you just a very quick resume of what warming down is, because I know we want to get on to questions and stuff. So warming down is basically when you've sung and you're exhausted, your voice you can't just go to sleep with everything stretched or start talking with everything stretched, because it'd be tiring your voice out a lot to do that. So things like these lip trills, or like shrugging your shoulders and just relaxing and doing downward scales like, ah, ah, ah. Anything is the opposite of the brightening that we've just done is really good. Do loads of lip trills like that, maybe a little bit of low humming, like instead of doing to warm it up, we're thinking now everything downwards. Just if you do a little bit of something like that, drink lots, warm it down, even for 2 to 5 minutes at the end of your practice, that'll keep your voice in a lot better nick than if you don't do it. Leona, I'm going to hand back to you.
Yeah, that's really interesting about the warming down, because after gigs or if I've been recording or just rehearsing, or I feel like I've stretched my voice a lot because I have a lot of big songs, you know, sometimes you can get a bit lazy and be like, okay, I'm done now, I'm finished. But I've had to really kind of stay on myself to make sure I warm down as well, because then my voice actually feels much better the next day and just in a better place. So I think it's really important, the warm downs as well.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much, Evie. That was so good and such a good like foundation. And I incorporate so many of these exercises into my warm-ups, the lip trills. I haven't done the Bella Mama one. That was really fun. That was new.
It's nice to do new things that even Leona hasn't done.
Yeah, this is good. It's good. And it's good for your ear as well to remember different melodies straight away. It's good for like recall. Yeah. So if anyone has any questions now, this is your chance to ask Evie. So just raise your hand if you have a question. Maybe raise the emoji, probably be better. And then I think Finn's gonna help us out with this.
Yeah, sorry, I will. Yeah. Should we start with Chantel? So Chantel, if you want to unmute yourself, then you ask Evie the question. Yeah.
Yep. Hi Evie. First of all, thank you for this vocal exercise and warm up. And second of all, do you know when you said drink hot drinks? It's like hot lemon. Is hot lemon okay? Like hot honey lemon drink.
Well,
where you boil water.
Yeah. So lemon is a bit acidic on its own, I think. I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but I think if you've got something cutting like lemon and ginger, they cut through the phlegm. So they're often quite good just for dislodging phlegm if you've got a sore throat or if you're tired, and then the honey will soothe. So sometimes it's more psychological with having honey and lemon and ginger, really. I don't think it's actually curative as such, but it makes you feel better. And the fact that it's a hot drink and it's not coffee, which can hydrate you, then it's always good. Always good.
I have
So
some to add to. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, carry on. No, carry on, Leona.
Yeah, one thing to add. So, you know, warm drinks vs cold drinks. You know, there's this thing about, oh, don't drink cold drinks when you're studio or when you're singing. Is that true?
Well, it is in a way, because if you're warming up your voice and then you drink ice cold drinks, then you're not really doing any good. But a cold drink in the, you know, a lukewarm drink is fine, and a normal room temperature drink is fine. So for singers, I would recommend don't really drink ice cold drinks if you're performing. You can drink an ice cold drink to hydrate you, but if you're about to perform or you've warmed up, then drink either room temperature or lukewarm or a hot drink.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chantel, what were you saying?
So it's okay to have the, I can't describe it. So basically you boil water and then you put honey, you put lemon juice and honey and then ginger. That's the hot drink. It's okay to have for your voice. It's good to have for your voice.
Yeah, that
Okay.
That'll do your voice good. But also any hot drink, you can even just have hot water if you want to. You know, any hot, as long as it's not burning, you know, any hot drink will soothe and make you feel better, and it will kind of add to the warming up that you've just done.
Okay. Thank you so much.
AJ, if you want to ask the next question.
Hi there, Evie. Hi, Leona. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I want to ask you guys a question that obviously I do spoken word and poetry and rapping, all of that. So what, like, are these exercises, is it fit for people like me, like spoken word artists, poets and rappers? Like, can you recommend any vocal training for people like myself?
Well, I have, I do probably, I mean, I would say most of my people I work with are singers, but I'd say I've got quite a good percentage of rappers now. And so what I found that works with them is to do a lot of these warm-ups like the mms and the ahs and a bit of the breathing, because you're wakening up all the vocal mechanism. And you know, you can damage your voice, or you still need the stamina if you're a rapper. Sometimes you need it more, and you still need the breathing if you're a rapper. I find that my rappers get very, very tired because they'll be talking in a bit and they'll get very intense. So to be doing all these kind of lip trills and stretches and warm downs and everything, I've found just through doing it, I didn't start off as an expert on rap, obviously I'm an opera singer, but I found that I've learned from just doing it with them, and the difference that it's seemed to them when they're doing a big gig in a really big gig at something very important. If they've done their warm up, they feel they've got that flow, and they feel that their voice does what they want it to do. So I would say almost like, okay, you don't need to do the high riffs and all the difficult stuff that Leona does, but I would say all these basic warm-ups that we did today, there's none of those that you can't do or that won't help you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Faith, if you'd like to go next.
So hi, my question is, what is the best way, do you think, to develop your ability to project your voice?
I'll touch on this, but also it'd be interesting to speak to Leona, because I'm teaching all these things, but then when you've got someone like Leona who's experienced it, done it, and gone with it, it's obviously really important to get her take on that, because she's improved her projection over the years, just through, as you get older, your voice changes, doesn't it, Leona? So I would say the main way to improve your projection is to not be forcing your voice, because it won't get bigger by forcing it. It'll get smaller because you'll be tiring it. It's to build up your stamina by doing diaphragmatic breathing, which you can look up. I mean, we know we touched on it, but obviously that wasn't a lot. You can look it up online. You can look up what you're doing and gradually breathe deeper and train your voice. The more you work these muscles, the more they'll actually start responding to you, and you'll be amazed. My goodness, my voice seems louder. And it seems louder because you've got this like bellows underneath it, giving it air, you know, and it gives it that support. You're supporting your voice rather than pushing it. So the less tension you have and the more breath control you have, the more stamina you'll have and the bigger and louder your voice will be. Now, what do you think, Leona?
Yeah, I think that's right as well. I used to have, my talking voice is a lot more projected now. It used to be a lot quieter and softer. And sometimes I do have quite a soft speaking voice, but I have a lot of projection when I sing. And I do think I've got quite good breath control. And a solid foundation of from my diaphragm. So I think that's one thing that really helps with my projection and feeling grounded, very grounded and stable when I sing because of that breath. And I've started to actually warm up my speaking voice as well. So just warming up on the level that I just speak at. And that also helps with my projection when I'm singing. It kind of spills over into my singing. So yeah, I think that's just technique, working on your technique.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Faith.
Faith has such a beautiful voice, by the way. Such a beautiful voice. Just wanted to add that.
That's nice to hear. We'll have to hear that sometime.
Right. If Lydia, you'd like to go next.
Hi. My question is quite similar to Faith as well. Just sort of like, how do you sort of make it easier and like more projected when it comes to like a barrier sort of between like your head voice and also like when you're belting kind of, and like your lower region of your voice kind of?
Who's this,
like
Olivia? I can't see you, Olivia. Can you see Olivia, Leona? Did you say Olivia?
Lydia.
Lydia.
Oh, Lydia, I see you now. Sorry, ask your question again. I was kind of trying to find you, and I missed a little bit of that at the beginning. So go again.
How do you sort of create like less of a barrier, like when you're doing riffs and also when you're like belting and stuff, like between sort of like the lower region of your voice and also kind of like your head voice?
Right, so a lot of people worry about the registers of their voice, and it's something that there's a lot of detail goes into how to work that. Some people have got a definite flip thing going on, and other people it's quite smooth, the transition between the different registers of their voice. So it depends on the person. But if you do things like, there's an exercise which if you just go you just an NG sound, like at the end of the word sing. If you just go that and you do that sound, you could do that through a song. So if, say, you were finding it really hard to do your registers in the song Happy Birthday, for example, if you go and do the whole thing to that practice the song you're finding hard to that and your voice will automatically go through the registers when you do the then go back to your words, see if it works, do half words. That's a really good exercise to sort of smooth out those areas so that you can gradually feel that you're not having such a woo. But if in kind of Leona's case, you want to flip into a falsetto because it's a stylistic thing, then it's great to be able to do that. But you want to be able to do both. Leona doesn't always want to flip into a falsetto. Sometimes she'll want to sing with a full belt on certain notes she would normally go into falsetto with. Leona, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I was going to say, because I sometimes will take away the words for a song and just basically do it on the or a vowel or something, just so it all kind of sounds like one smooth tone, so that I know that I can do that. And then I'll add in the, the inflections and the riffs and the flips and the things like that where I feel they should be emotionally in the song. But technique wise, it's good to feel that you have that. So taking away the words and putting in that vowel or the or whatever it is you're trying to develop, I think is really, really helpful.
Does that help, Lydia?
Yeah, thank you.
That's good.
Brian, if you'd like to ask your question next.
Sure. Hi. I just wanted to ask, in terms of slipping into the higher registers and the lower registers, what would be the best way to do that, or what would be the best way to learn to do that?
So it's a bit like what Lydia has just asked about going through your range and just working the whole range. So in order to do that, you've got to find the song that you find difficult. You can do your warm-ups like what we're doing, but then you've got to find the song that you find difficult and start practicing it to different things that work for you. So either sing the whole thing to a belt or the whole thing to a falsetto. So often, in order to expand your range both ways, if you sing low and you try to go high and you take all that weight from the low voice up to the top, you won't manage to do it, because it's like you're in a car and you're in first gear and you're trying to go to fifth gear and it just doesn't work. So what to do to go from low to high is to brighten up the lower bit. So if you're starting very low like that, you make it brighter like that. So like we were doing with the Italian, you make it very bright, the low part of your voice, and then gradually it becomes easier to go into the high bit. And the same way, if you're trying to go from high to low, what to do is to start singing the high bit to a really, you're singing it to a really nice high sound, and then gradually go down to the lower and try and keep it as bright as you can, so that you're kind of like linking the two together. So practicing up the way and practicing down the way. And a lot of people practice upward scales, but a lot of people don't practice downward scales. So you know that thing we're doing with minimi, 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 minimi. That's from high to low, keeping it bright, and that keeps the muscles going for the middle of your voice. So they're developing your third gear, so it makes it easier to sing high and easier to sing low if you can develop this third gear. So we're driving our car and we're driving it mainly in third gear because that's the easiest place to be, to pop up and pop down. Does that make sense, Brian?
Perfect sense. Thank you.
I to add to that, I also, when I'm going down, I think up. So if I'm doing like minimi, 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 I like psychologically think up and my voice stays in a certain place. And then when I'm going up, I think down. Perfect. So that really helps me. Yeah.
But that is a perfect thing to do, because that is probably the be all and end all. If you think up when you're down and down when you're up. Perfect, Leona. That's a great tip for you guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.
Courtney, if you'd like to go ahead.
Hi, so I just wanted to know what your advice would be like in terms of like avoiding tension in your voice. So like your voice sometimes feels tight. I remember last year I had to do a performance at university and I was so nervous that I almost felt like I couldn't even get the words out. So what would be your advice on like avoiding like tension and tightening in the voice?
So when we're scared, we automatically go, and somehow our voice, our body doesn't know that the thing that we're scared of when it's singing is something that we can't go for. You know what I mean? If like, a lion comes into the room, we all go, or something scares us, then that's fine to do that. But if we're about to sing, we need to pretend we're absolutely fine. So you need to practice these things like being able to do wow inside, smile inside, open everything up, open up your shoulders. And even when you're feeling like you've got to be able to do the opposite. And so that involves practicing those things at all times so that you can just do it like that. So if you're standing washing the dishes, I want you to just to think of the beginning of a yawn. We're about to yawn. Or like you've got a hot potato in your mouth and you're going, so you try to avoid it burning the top of your roof of your mouth. So anything like that, if you could be right this minute, you could be doing that without me knowing you're doing it. You're waiting for the bus, you're doing it all the time so that these things come just like that. You've got to prepare them and get the muscles ready to do it straight away. So as soon as you go on stage, have things like that to think about. And then the other one I think of is if my singers go up to the microphone, as soon as they go up to the microphone, I want them to smell a rose. I want them to go. So they're lifting everything, everything's relaxed, and then they start singing. Because you're so busy thinking of lifting everything, smelling your rose, doing the beginning of your yawn, doing all the smile inside, that you forget to do the opposite, which is, so hopefully that helps. But it's whatever techniques you can do to help. But Leona is the one to ask because Leona knows what real nerves are. Leona knows what these situations, she has gone into these situations and dealt with it and sounded brilliant. So I can talk about it as much as I like, but she actually does it. So what do you do, Lee?
Well, for me, it's about practice for sure. Knowing that I have a solid technique. I don't really get tight, although I can remember times probably years ago when I used to get really nervous and that would show in my body, like I'd kind of tighten up. And for me, it was literally just leaning in on my technique, being prepared as well, not just technique wise, but, knowing what I'm doing, my songs, knowing that everything's good. And just enjoying as well what you're doing. I know it can be really nerve-wracking sometimes, but if you just really get into the moment of what you're doing, of your performance, of your piece, usually for me, nerves kind of go away when I'm on stage and I'm kind of in my zone.
Okay, thank you both so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
DV music.
Oh, okay. It doesn't have my name. I just realized. Hi everyone. I hope everyone's good. I hope everyone's blessed. I think this is a question to the both of you. So there's a lot of upcoming mainstream artists that I'm working with, and this is gonna sound really bad. I'm just gonna keep it real with you guys, right? The first recording I take with them sounds like absolute trash, and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna get into it, and it just doesn't happen. And I've just realized, I think the barrier is the warm-up vocals. That's the one thing I haven't done with them. So my question is, is there anything, Leona, different that you do that we haven't already done that really helps you in terms of getting into, that environment?
Yeah, definitely. So when I'm recording, I definitely have one or two warm-up takes for sure, where I'll sing the whole song. Like usually my engineer ends up recording it anyway, but usually I'm like, let me just warm up a couple of times. But I make sure that I've done all of my exercises before. So I've already sang, I'm already in there. But when you're singing in a room versus when you're on the mic, it sounds different. You have to your ears have to get used to it as well. So definitely give a bit of grace with the maybe one or two takes for warm-ups. But if it's a thing that they've not even warmed up at all before, then it's not going to be great. So making sure that, your artist is warmed up and prepared for the session is kind of key.
But I'm saying, in terms of so for the exercises sorry, I've forgotten your name. I got like in terms of those exercises, is there anything else on top or anything different that you do in terms of warming up for studio in that environment, or is it the same kind of?
Like a lot of the same lip trills, scales, then actually what we was talking about before, we're taking away the lyrics and doing it on vowels, the song that I'm actually going to sing in the studio, making sure I'm warmed up on that. But yeah, fully warming up my voice with those exercises and scales. And obviously we have a limited time, so there's only certain ones that we can do, but it depends, you know, who your singer is as well, what kind of voice they have. But the standard like lip trills and scales are good for everyone, no matter what you're doing.
Cool. That's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, and good luck with.
Thank you. I'm gonna need it.
Tell them to warm up.
No, I will. Thanks.
Okay.
Isabella, if you want to go next.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, like, is there a certain type of warm-up that someone can do like 24/7? Not 24/7.
What do you mean?
Like a warm-up. So say for example that I'm in school and I haven't been able to do anything for the whole day, and like I just want to like a quick warm-up that doesn't sound very intrusive to other people.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, that thing that we were doing with was it Lydia, where we're going at that siren. So they hear it. You can be doing that all day at 5-minute intervals, and it's not loud, but it's a very, very effective thing. What about you, Leona? Do you do any of the? If you're
the sirens, I think the siren is really good. If you do, I sometimes open up the siren as well and make it a bit like more like like open it up. That might be a bit intrusive if you're trying to be quiet, but you're a singer, like so you have to warm up. So you shouldn't be afraid to just sing. But yeah, like humming, the kitten purr, which is that the and I'm trying to think what else. The lip trills are really good for me as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tariq, you want to go next?
Yeah, hi. Basically, yeah. The question I want to ask is that, you know, like when you're working on diction, what's the easiest way to still sing normally by working on diction? Because whenever I try and work on my diction, when I sing, I end up sounding posh like Lily Allen, and I want to keep my normal voice without like messing up from where I want to stay. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's so interesting. Yeah, sorry, Evie, because I sometimes, you know, it's hard to understand some of the things that I'm singing, and I have had people be like, is she saying this or is she saying that? And honestly, like, unless it's literally you cannot understand a word you're saying, I think it's okay because it's your own character and it's how you talk. So you have to stay true to yourself, you know, and how you actually speak and how you sing. But if it's a thing where no one can actually understand you, then you have to work on it a little bit, and maybe Evie can give you some tips.
Well, I totally agree with what you're saying. The last thing I want is any of my singers to sound trained. You know, if I'm working with someone who's really cool, I do not want them to sound like I've been giving them diction, because that's just like the worst thing. So, but we do diction exercises. You know, if you do something like red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. You try that a bit, Tarek?
Red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow.
Yeah. On a note, if you try that, something like that in your warm-up to do that, or you do, another one I do is I do unique New York, New York, unique, unique New York, New York, unique, unique New York, and you kind of sing it. They seem really boring and they seem like, well, how is that going to help? But if you do them in your warm-up, then you get used to articulating in your warm-up. Then when it comes to your actual singing, you're not going to sound like that. You're going to sound like you. And I have a lot of singers who I can't, some people say, well, why is so-and-so? Why? I don't understand a word they say. And I said, fine, That's the way they sing. I'm not going to make a singer sound articulate because it'll make them not sound like themselves. So you know, as Leona says, if you some bits you don't understand, that's fine, but you can improve it by doing some of these Red Lorries or Unique New York, or just maybe look up alliteration online, look up things, you know. And
one that really helps me is the Unique New York on a scale. So if it's the Unique New York, New York, unique New York, New York, unique. So going down on the scale, it's really tough, but it really gets.
Do you want to copy Leona? Do you want to do it once for him, Leona?
Go on.
All right. I can try. What is it?
So unique New York, New York, 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 unique.
Unique New York, New York, New York, New York, New York. Yeah. You know,
it's hard, isn't it?
You practice it, but you know, but my singers, once they get it, they're like showing off because they're like, oh, I can do it really fast.
Yeah, when you can do it fast, it's like crazy, but it really helps you just get everything moving, and it also brings your voice forward, which is good for me as a singer as well.
But you need that in order to articulate. You need it forward. So that's what you're probably missing. If you're not able to articulate, it's because your voice is not forward enough. It's not because you're not posh enough or sounding posh enough. It's nothing to do with that. You don't want to sound posh. You just want to sound like you normally sound. But just work these muscles.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Reese.
Hi, you alright? So obviously I spoke to Leona before, so she's like a little aware. I'm transgender, so I was born female, and obviously I've been on hormones for just over a year now, which does a lot to your voice. It's kind of frustrating because before hormones, I used to be able to hit like proper high notes, whereas now I'm like really struggling, and like I just wanted to know like what advice like trans people specifically, like in order to get their vocals like a bit better kind of thing, because obviously my voice, like, I used to be able to hit really good high notes, whereas now from where my voice lowered from the hormones, like it's just awful. I just can't hit them anymore.
It's so sad because, you know, it's so frustrating. Now, I've had trans people who've been kind of able to kind of do notes that you wouldn't expect a guy to do. So it's actually been a bonus. Do you know what I mean? So like, you know, you're looking like a guy and you come out with these amazing female notes. So that's a bonus in that. So I've had that, but not having a problem to keep them. I think that if you... Will the hormones settle down, do you think, Reese? And your voice might settle with them? Are they at a stage where they're unsettled?
I mean, my voice has settled quite a lot, but it's just, I just can't hit the high notes that I used to be able to hit. And it's just so frustrating because like, I can hear the difference.
I think the main thing to say is that, like, when our hormones mess with our voices at different parts of our life, whether this is obviously something caused by what you've gone through, or, you know, for example, when women are pregnant and their hormones change, their voices can go lower or whatever as they get older. Even girls go through a voice breaking kind of thing. And also, you know, older women go through we all go through different stages. So when your hormones are really playing about, I think the main thing you can do is really tap into your technique. Now, can we put our hand on our neck? We can all kind of do this. I want you, Reese, to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then I want you
it's
to...
very like I can feel the vibrations, whereas before I didn't feel it so much.
Yeah. So that will be different. But there's a little cartilage here called the thyroid cartilage, and it tips forward slightly if we're about to cry. Now, when we cry and when it tips forward, we can get higher. So I want you to pretend you're about to cry. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 normally. And then I want you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like you're about to cry. Right, so do both of those.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2,
Yeah.
a little
I
bit
can
more,
feel
like
it
a big
entering.
one. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I want you to practice that higher as well. That little feeling of tipping that over and going into a cry. So that when you get higher, I want you to use more of that little stretch with that cartilage. Because when we go up high, if you've got anything going on with your hormones, like for girls here, you know, when it's time of the month, whatever, we need more of this. So anything with your hormones, you need more of this. So I want you to try and think you're about to cry when you get to high notes. Say, so if you're going, hey, you're going, oh, I want you to really think of that feeling of crying when you're going up to your hand. So for a little practice for you, I want you to go, la, 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 and just think of that slight cry when you get to your high notes. Keep practicing that. Start low and think of crying as you go up, then get higher, think of crying as you get up, and kind of use that technique more as much as you can, just to use your technique. But all the things that we're practicing, you actually probably need to do more of them, unfortunately, in order to settle down. And it may be that you're going to be able to get these high notes back, or it may be that your voice is just going to settle as a lower voice. I don't know, but I know you can help it by doing some of that, you know.
Thank you.
But good luck with that. And you can always email me or something, you know, and we can experiment, because it's all kind of like, you know, it's something that there's how many people are trans and a successful singer, and you know what I mean? There's not so many people you can use as examples. So it's all trial and error, you know.
I can still hit like the female notes as such, but they're just nowhere near like as smooth as they used to be. Like they're more kind of like, you can feel that I'm straining kind of thing, which obviously I don't want to be doing.
Which
because I don't want to strain my voice.
Which again, the one thing to do is maybe in order to, maybe it's all still there, but you need more technique under it in order to make it work, rather than just assuming it's going to be natural like it used to be. You've kind of bypassed a few years. You know, I said people down the line get technically, you know, have problems. You're sort of starting now because you bypassed all that. Does that make sense? Lee, if you got anything to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, so what about your lower range? Has that extended then?
Definitely, yeah. I can definitely hit a lot more lower notes than I used to be able to, which, you know, is a bonus in a way, but obviously I like to be able to, like, I don't want to lose the higher spectrum as well.
Yeah.
So like I'd, you know, prefer to train my, because obviously since being young, I've always trained my voice to sound more masculine. And now it is more masculine. I'm like trying to not make it be so masculine.
But then you probably can, if you have the lower range, you know, and that's great because you have now added notes. I think working the technique to then extend the higher is going to be key for you. Okay. So using some of those exercises, I still do the crying. I like think all of my high notes, I'm like, I'm crying. That's it. So yeah, just keep working on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I think that's everyone, isn't it? All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap up. Evie, thank you so much. Thanks, been
Leona. You know,
so
thank you guys for all being so interested in it all. You know, rather than sort of looking at us going, "What are we talking about?" So it was lovely to talk to you all.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, this was so wonderful. And anyone, if you have questions or anything, you can always email anything extra. But thank you so much, Evie. And to everyone, I'll see you again for another session in a few weeks. So thanks for being here with us. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Leona.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, everyone say bye. We want to hear you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye like 3 times. I'm just gonna say it again. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye, Leona. Bye.
Bye, AJ.
Oh yeah, I'm shooting my spoken word video shoot on the 28th of April.
Yeah.
I've got the private members venue for free of charge in central London. I've got like 15 people going to be in my spoken word video shoot.
Brilliant.
I'm going to release it on all platforms, but I'll email Rachel to send the details
So
to
we
you.
can see it. I can't wait. Good luck. Good luck.
Have a good day.
See you soon.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Thank you
Evie,
so
thank
much.
you.